They're talking about Kamala Harris isn't black, and let me just say this: there's been a pocket of Black Americans, FBAs, whatever they want to call themselves, that want to gatekeep blackness. I have a huge problem with that.
Okay, talk about
They
it.
want to gatekeep blackness. They want to say that nobody is black outside of foundational Black Americans.
Right. That's what FBA is. People who don't know.
Yeah. And anybody else is not black if your roots aren't from here, which does not make any sense. So, because let me take you back.
Yeah, break it down for us, please.
Let me take you back.
History lesson.
Before the transatlantic slave trade, there was no such thing as black. There was no such thing as white. Europeans, right? Let's talk about it. You had the English who hated the Irish. You had everyone who hated the Germans. There were wars going on in Europe.
Right.
You know, there was tribes going on in Africa.
Right.
The only time that whiteness or blackness was invented was because of white supremacy. There was no such thing as white supremacy before.
You're right.
The transatlantic slave trade, right?
No, you're right.
It was to section off different types of people, and it was to uplift whiteness and downgrade blackness. And we've talked about this before, how white and black is a social construct, and how the Irish, Italians, and Jews were accepted into whiteness. That's how much of a social construct it was. It was at one point, okay, you guys are considered white now. So white and black was no such thing before the transatlantic slave trade. And so when you take that in consideration, anybody who is a descendant of a slave is black by definition.
Right.
Because they were discriminated against. When a white person sees a black person walk in a room, they ain't worried about their background. Right. They ain't worried about, oh, are you from America?
Yeah,
are you from Jamaica?
Right.
Are you from Britain? Nah. Are you from Germany? Yeah. No, you a nigga. Yeah, you feel me?
Yeah, for sure.
Blackness is the opposite of whiteness when it comes to white supremacy. So they don't look at you any different. Those are the definitions that they gave us. So you can't, in turn, take the definition and try to gatekeep it from everybody else. You trying to tell me that Kylian Mbappe, you know who Mbappe is?
Yeah, of course.
You trying to tell me Kylian Mbappe ain't black because he's French?
Right.
And what are we doing? Are we talking about, is it just USA? So what about Canadians? What about RJ Barrett? What about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? They not black because they not from America? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here? What about Rudy Gobert?
Good point.
What about Rudy Gobert?
That's a really
like, no,
good point.
I am not with the whole tribalism. They trying to. I'm not with none of that. Kamala Harris is black, if you ask me. I don't care where you're from. If you have black skin, you are black. It doesn't matter what it is. And Michael Blackson said he didn't realize how black he was till he came to America. That doesn't mean he wasn't black in Africa. Right. Think about it. When everybody looks like you don't know until you go outside of that. Just like if you go to any Asian country, right? Let's say you go to Japan. Let's say you go to China. When you're in China, you don't think of yourself as Asian because everybody's Asian.
Right.
It's once you go outside of the worldly view, you go outside of there, you move to America, now you are Asian. You know what I mean? Now you're part of the Asian diaspora. And they want to talk about let me give you another example. They also want to say that only when it comes to culture, that only black culture is Black American culture. I disagree. I think all African culture is black culture. The opposite of that, let's say St. Patty's Day, right?
Okay.
Irish, whether it's the 4-leaf clover, whether it's drinking Guinness, whether it's corned beef hash, all of that is Irish culture, but it's also white culture. Let's talk about kilts in Scotland. Right. That's also part of white culture. It's a subsidiary of white culture. It's Scottish culture, just like reggae. Reggae is Jamaican culture, but it's a subsidiary of black culture, if you ask me. Right, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so just because you not man, we think we're the centers of the world. We want to be the centers of the universe, and we're trying to say no, they're not black. They're Jamaican. Right. They're not black. They're from Trinidad and Tobago. They're not black. They're from Nigeria, and they're trying to do this tribalism type of thing, and I'm not here for it.